we hear echoes of the imperialistic ambitions of World War II's aggressors, including Adolf Hitler. Vladimir Putin has suffered 1.2 million casualties and failed miserably in his military objectives. Along the way, he has transformed Russia's economy into one fueled by war, raising the prospect of an even more aggressive Moscow for the foreseeable future. Most of Iran's leaders are now deceased, but they and those who survived them have consistently sought violence against America, Israel, our Gulf allies, and the Iranian people. We saw this during the October 7th massacre, during their continued support for Hezbollah and Hamas, and in their desire to engage in nuclear blackmail. Iran's ayatollahs have consistently represented a threat to American interest. Kim Jong-un has joined Mr. Putin's war of aggression. He continues a military and nuclear buildup that threatens South Korea, Japan, and the United States. Ties have never been closer among these four dictators, among these four dictatorships. They support each other's aggressive endeavors, they prop each other up financially, and they scheme to undermine America's objectives. We should expect them to continue this behavior. This context plays out across every dimension of national power, the economy, technology, diplomacy, and more. But today we're here to talk about the military dimension of this competition. These regimes have regularly tried to take by force what they cannot secure through the political process. For that reason, we must be ready to deter conflicts and, if necessary, to win them. President Trump has used the U.S. military appropriately and effectively for American interests. He has viewed our adversaries as a united bloc and has taken action in light of that reality. In Operation Absolute Resolve and associated statecraft, the president removed an aspiring dictator off the board and set up Venezuela for a future aligned with democratic interests. In Operation Midnight Hammer, he sought to eliminate the Ayatollah's nuclear program. When the Ayatollah chose to double down, the president launched Operation Epic Fury. In that mission, he has worked to remove the regime's conventional military capabilities and force it back to the table for a permanent solution. While we all mourn the tragic loss of the 14 service members who've lost their lives in this conflict, we do so knowing the world is safer without a nuclear Iran. All of these actions are part of a peace through strength strategy. In this approach, we seek first to avoid war, but we take military action when necessary to achieve U.S. interest. And so, Mr. Secretary, I'm pleased that you are here testifying today in support of President Trump's historic $1.5 trillion defense budget request. That sum will go a long way toward rebuilding our military capabilities for a generation. I should say up front that this may be a long hearing. There's much to discuss. This $1.5 trillion request is chock full of important programs and initiatives that are absolutely necessary to secure American interest in the 21st century. I think this funding underpins and accentuates three comparative advantages the United States possesses over the axis of aggressors. The first comparative advantage America enjoys over our adversaries is that we have the best innovation and industry in the world. So I hope our witnesses today will cover the progress we've made in just the past year rebuilding the American arsenal. Last year, our reconciliation bill, combined with bipartisan appropriation bills, achieved about $1 trillion defense budget. This year's request would represent a near 50% increase.
In the ₹9 workshop that you're providing, what all do you cover?
In ₹9, you'll learn how to automate your reports, how to automate your presentation, how you can create entire applications without having any coding knowledge. And not only that, you will be also learning how you can work with AI agents as well. And all of this in just 3 hours. Just imagine.
Wow, that is amazing. But there's so much to learn and you're charging only 9 rupees. People are going to think that's a scam. Is that true, or like how do you go about that?
So you need to understand why do we charge 9 rupees, right? So we want to make it democratized. As many people as possible should be attending it. So I don't want price to be gatekeeping for them in order to like take their first step towards GenAI. So that's why we have kept at rupees 9.
Okay, that is great.
दोस्तों, क्या आप अपना टाइम फेसबुक और इंस्टाग्राम पे वेस्ट कर रहे हो? इसी वक्त बंद कर दो टाइम पास करना, अगर आपको भी चाहिए एक एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स ऑफ इनकम। दोस्तों, मैं ऐसे बहुत सारे लोगों को जानता हूं जो या तो रिटायर हो चुके हैं या तो एक लो सैलरी पैकेज पे काम कर रहे हैं और उनके पास जो भी टाइम बचा हुआ है वो एक्स्ट्रा टाइम पास करने में, रील्स देखने में, शॉर्ट्स देखने में वेस्ट कर रहे हैं। दोस्तों, अगर आप सच में अपना टाइम वेस्ट कर रहे हो ना, तो इस वीडियो को स्किप मत करना, क्योंकि बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात मैं आपसे करने वाला हूँ। आज 2025 के अंदर अगर आप पावर बीआई, एडवांस एक्सेल, पावर पॉइंट, एआई और चैट जीपीटी जैसी स्किल सीख लेते हो, जितना टाइम पास आप कर रहे हो उतने में ये सारी स्किल आप सीख लोगे और जैसे ही आप एक स्किल सीख लेते हो, आप एक एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स ऑफ इनकम जनरेट कर सकते हो। आप एक फ्रीलांसर बनकर एक्स्ट्रा पैसे कमा सकते हो अपनी लाइफ में। अगर आप सच में सीरियस हो अपने करियर को लेके या फिर पैसों के फाइनेंशियल मैनेजमेंट को लेके कि सर मैं सच में फ्रीलांसर बनना चाह रहा हूँ, एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स ऑफ इनकम डेवलप करना चाह रहा हूँ, कोई एक ऐसी स्किल बताओ जिसे सीखने के बाद मेरी सारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व हो जाए, तो उस एडवांस स्किल का नाम है माइक्रोसॉफ्ट एक्सेल। हेलो दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है राज सिंह। मैं एक माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर हूँ। पिछले 16 सालों से मैं इंडस्ट्री में ट्रेनिंग दिया हूँ। 1, 2, 3 नहीं, 300 से भी ज्यादा कंपनीज को अब तक मैं ट्रेन कर चुका हूँ। आप टाटा, डाबर, रिलायंस, इन्फोसिस या आईसीआईसीआई बैंक, एसबीआई की बात कर लो, हर सेक्टर्स में मेरे स्टूडेंट हैं, क्योंकि मैंने अब तक 5 लाख से भी ज्यादा लोगों को पढ़ाया हुआ है। और ये सारी ट्रेनिंग देने के बाद मैं आप लोगों के लिए एक पावरफुल वर्कशॉप लेकर आया हूँ ऑनलाइन, जो कि हिंदी भाषा में है और सिर्फ 3 घंटे का वर्कशॉप है। इस 3 घंटे के वर्कशॉप के अंदर मैं आपको वो सारे स्किल सिखाऊंगा जो टॉप डिमांडिंग है, जैसे कि पिवट टेबल की बात कर लो या एडवांस एक्सेल के फॉर्मूलाज की बात कर लो, फ्लैश फिल की बात कर लो या वी लुकअप जैसे फॉर्मूलाज की बात कर लो। एआई और चैट जीपीटी का यूज करके कोई बायोडाटा रिज्यूमे बनाना हो गया या कोई कंपनी के ईमेल्स राइट करने हो गए, कोई हाई डिमांडिंग पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन बनाना हो गया जिसे आप बनाकर सेल आउट भी कर सकते हो ऑनलाइन। तो फ्रीलांसिंग के लिए कैसे रेडी हो, किन वेबसाइट्स पे कैसे रजिस्टर करें, वहां पर आप क्या सर्विस ऑफर कर सकते हो कि आपको इंडियन रुपीस ही नहीं जबकि डॉलर्स में भी आपकी इनकम हो सकती है। वर्क फ्रॉम होम, घर बैठे आप भी काम कर सकते हो, आपकी वाइफ, आपकी सिस्टर भी काम कर सकती है। ये सारी प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन इसी 3 घंटे के वर्कशॉप में मैं आपको देने वाला हूँ। ये पूरा वर्कशॉप हैंड्स ऑन है। मैं आपको प्रैक्टिस फाइल दूंगा, आप डाउनलोड करोगे, मेरे साथ लाइव आप प्रैक्टिस करोगे और 3 घंटे के बाद सर्टिफाइड करूंगा मैं आपको कि ये आपको आता है। और प्रैक्टिस करने के बाद आपका कॉन्फिडेंस जो आज यहाँ पर है, कोई आपकी मदद नहीं कर रहा है, कोई आपकी हेल्प नहीं कर रहा है, मैं राज सिंह एज अ माइक्रोसॉफ्ट सर्टिफाइड ट्रेनर आपको प्रॉमिस करता हूँ कि ये कॉन्फिडेंस इस लेवल पे मैं लेकर जाऊंगा। आपकी सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज के दरवाजे खुल जाएंगे, आपको नेटवर्किंग करने मिलेगा, अच्छे लोगों से, अच्छे दोस्तों से ऑनलाइन फ्रेंडशिप करने मिलेगा और आप एक एक्स्ट्रा सोर्स ऑफ इनकम के लिए रेडी हो पाओगे। तो इंतजार किस बात का है, नीचे दिए गए लिंक पर अभी क्लिक करो। एक सवाल आपके अंदर आ रहा होगा कि सर इतना कुछ पढ़ाओगे तो फीस बहुत ज्यादा लोगे। बिल्कुल भी नहीं। अगर ये वर्कशॉप आप अभी ज्वाइन करते हो 199 रुपीज, 200 रुपए में भी 1 रुपए कम, इतने कम फीस के अंदर मैं आपको ये सारी फैसिलिटीज, सारी सर्विसेज ऑफर कर रहा हूं। तो अगर आप सच में अपनी लाइफ को चेंज करना चाह रहे हो तो जिंदगी की नई शुरुआत कीजिए, मेरे साथ इस वर्कशॉप में पार्ट लीजिए। नीचे दिए गए लिंक पर अभी क्लिक कीजिए और मैं राज सिंह आपको मिलता हूं वर्कशॉप के अंदर।
Every penny of it should be money well spent, making down payments on crucial transformational capabilities such as drone warfare, low-cost munitions, and missile defense. Also, last year, Congress and the executive branch achieved historic acquisition reforms. Consequently, we are well positioned to make huge gains on efficiency this year and in the years to come, making it much more flexible and a more timely process. I look forward to discussing how we might accelerate implementation of these actions. In particular, I'd like to see the Pentagon do more this year to drive competition in the defense industrial base. Competition absolutely drives better outcomes for our service members and taxpayers. Of course, our people are the final comparative advantage we have over our adversaries. We've enjoyed significant improvements in recruitment and retention, but we need to solidify a merit-based environment that fully cares for our personnel. I commend you, Mr. Secretary, for your efforts over the past year to do just that. That task will never be finished, of course, but we embrace it gladly and we salute the progress. We will always be striving to care for and equip American service members as much as possible. I look forward to more work between this committee and the department this coming year. With that, I turn to my friend and colleague, Ranking Member Jack Reed.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and Secretary Hegseth, General Kane, Mr. Hurst, welcome. And please convey my appreciation, all of our appreciation, to our military service members and defense civilians. We owe them our deepest sense of gratitude. Mr. Secretary, this is your first public appearance before this committee in nearly a year. Since your last public testimony, you and President Trump have unwisely taken the United States to war with Iran. You ordered attack on Venezuela and have directed ongoing illegal boat strike campaign in the Caribbean and Pacific. At your direction, our forces have bombed Yemen, Somalia, Iraq, Syria, Nigeria, and Ecuador. In the United States, you have deployed thousands of troops to cities like Washington, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Portland to police American citizens. And you have personally intervened to end the careers of dozens of military leaders without explanation. These actions will have significant and long-term consequences. Now you appear before us to ask for a $1.5 trillion budget, a 45% increase above last year. I must say I'm skeptical, and such a request demands intense scrutiny. 61 days ago, President Trump unilaterally began the war in Iran. He had no coherent strategy. He refused to make a case to the American people or consult Congress. He failed to present any evidence of an immediate threat, and he ignored the advice of military and intelligence experts who warned him of the consequences. Today, our nation is in a worse strategic position. The Strait of Hormuz was open. Now it is closed. 13 service members have tragically lost their lives, and more than 400 have been wounded. We have lost dozens of aircraft, sustained significant damage to our bases in the area, and expended an alarming amount of our missile inventory. Morale and readiness across the force, especially among overdeployed units and vessels like the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, have suffered. Gasoline and fertilizer prices throughout the world have surged. American families are bearing the cost of a war they wanted nothing to do with and have gained nothing from. And yet, Secretary Hegseth, you declared victory a month ago. On April 8th, you said, in your words, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory. By any measure, Epic Fury decimated Iran's military and rendered its combat forces ineffective for years to come. But let me be clear. Tactically, the United States military performance against Iran has been remarkable, and I salute the service members who have executed this mission with skill and bravery. The problem with your statements, Mr. Secretary, is they are dangerously exaggerated. Iran's hardline regime remains in place. It still retains stockpiles of enriched uranium, and its nuclear program remains viable. Iran's military retains enough combat effectiveness to keep the conflict at an impasse. Its missiles and drones remain a far greater threat than you have acknowledged, and the regime has demonstrated it can effectively control the Strait of Hormuz when it chooses. Mr. Secretary, I am concerned that you have been telling the President what he wants to hear instead of what he needs to hear. Bold assurances of success are a disservice to both the Commander-in-Chief and the troops who risk their lives based on them. Our military has performed heroically, but military force without a sound strategy is a path to long-term defeat. I'd like to know what options you are considering now, given the cost from this war and the stalemate President Trump has put us in. More broadly, Mr. Secretary, too often you have made dangerous statements that are counterproductive to the mission. You boasted about, quote, no stupid rules of engagement, just days after hundreds of Iranian schoolgirls were tragically killed in a missile strike. You have made troubling statements about showing no mercy and no quarter to the Iranians, orders that would constitute war crimes. As importantly, while our men and women are fighting and dying overseas, you have focused unduly on your own personal agenda. In the past 2 months alone, you have taken upon yourself to overhaul the chaplain corps, cancel flu vaccine requirements, repeal firearm restrictions on military posts, and bar service members from attending certain universities. Just this week, you brought performer Kid Rock to an Army base to go for a joyride in an Apache helicopter after dismissing an earlier investigation into the pilots who recklessly chose to hover above his home. That runs directly counter to the chain of command and maintaining good order and discipline. Most disturbingly, during your tenure, you have fired dozens of our most senior military leaders and personally intervened to block the promotions of many others. That is a betrayal of the merit-based system that forms the foundation of our military. You are hollowing out the military's bench of experienced and highest performing senior officers while making young officers wonder if they should continue to serve. My colleagues and I have heard from countless service members throughout the ranks, many of whom will be watching right now, who are confused and disturbed by your actions. Hopefully you can explain them today. Additionally, this committee expects a fulsome update on Operation Southern Sphere. This ongoing campaign against suspected drug trafficking boats has resulted in nearly 200 fatalities. The administration has failed to explain the long-term objectives of this mission or provide any evidence of reduced drug flows into the United States. I would ask for a credible answer to this most fundamental question: what is the operation actually meant to accomplish? Mr. Secretary, you are here to promote the President's $1.5 trillion defense budget. While this budget provides funding for necessary programs, including shipbuilding and drone manufacturing, many other critical programs like barracks repair and aircraft procurement would rely on the passage of a party line reconciliation bill. Further, this budget slashes research and development, provides no funding for Ukraine, and includes no funding for losses incurred from the Iran war. Yesterday, Mr. Hurst testified that Operation Epic Fury has cost $25 billion. If nothing else, that help clarifies that we certainly do not need a supplemental anywhere near $100 billion, much less $200 billion. And in this record-breaking budget, there is no pay adjustments for the civilian workforce, and with inflation, that is a pay cut. After a year of Doge layoffs and a hiring freeze across the department, this is an insult to the 800,000 men and women who support our warfighters every day. I cannot imagine a faster way to erode readiness and distract from our abilities to deter our adversaries. Ultimately, Mr. Secretary, I believe you are causing lasting harm to the military. Like many members of this committee, I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve in the military. And every officer knows they are duty-bound to give their best professional advice, even if it's not what their superiors want to hear. Because when leaders fear to speak honestly, people die, missions fail, wars are lost. The American people's trust in our military took 250 years to build. You are dismantling it in a fraction of that time. And trust, once long, can take generations to rebuild. Mr. Secretary, today I hope you'll take a step forward toward rebuilding the trust that has been lost. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Secretary, you are now recognized for your opening statement, sir.
In the corporate world, if you come across as too nice, people don't respect you more. They just assume you can be pushed around. You become the one everyone likes, but no one listens to. They'll keep dumping extra work on you. They will talk over you in meetings. And when the time comes to promote or reward, you're not even in the picture. Why? Because your personality doesn't match your potential. But this can change when you learn to use your tone, your posture, your energy the right way. You stay likable, but now people think twice before crossing you. And that's when office politics stop being your problem. For over 23 years, I have trained professionals, leaders, and even global title winners on how to command respect without ever raising their voice. In my Top 1% Leader workshop, I will help you build confident body language that sets silent boundaries. Speak with clarity and control so people take you seriously. Project strength without ever being rude or aggressive. This is how you develop a personality that gets noticed and, most importantly, respected. So if you are tired of being the one who's always nice but never in control, this workshop is your shift point. Click the link below and register now.
Most working professionals are finding jobs the wrong way. They see a job post and they hit the apply button, and then they hope they get a call for an interview. If you are serious about building a high-paying career, you need to stop doing this. What if I told you that there is a better way? What if you could pick the companies that you want to work for and get a high-paying job in your dream organization, even if there is no job posting? What you need to understand is that there is a strategic process instead of applying anywhere and everywhere. Hi, my name is Savan Kapoor and I'm India's leading career coach. I've helped more than 1 lakh working professionals, be it freshers or experienced people, find their dream jobs in their dream companies. I invite you to join me in my Power Up Your Career workshop, where you'll learn the exact proven strategies to find a high-paying job. And the most important part, using my methods, people have been able to find jobs that are not only high-paying, but where the culture is great as well. They feel respected, they feel heard, and they are able to contribute to the company's growth. They have a clear career roadmap in front of them, and they absolutely love working in these companies. Sign up now for just ₹99, and you'll also get free access to the bonus courses worth more than 6,400 rupees for free. Register now, and I will see you at the workshop.
Well, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Reed, Senators, thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of President Trump's historic, as you said, Mr. Chairman, $1.5 trillion fiscal year 2027 budget for the Department of War. The President's budget request reflects the urgency of the moment, addressing both the deferment of long-standing problems as well as positioning our forces for the current and future fights. I'm honored to appear alongside General Dan Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Jay Hurst, our Chief Financial Officer and Comptroller. I'd like to start by thanking this committee and Congress for your partnership in securing the investment needed for a stronger, prouder, and more secure military. Your focus on acquisitions, your focus on efficiency are the reflection in our department as well and in this budget. A nation's ability to build, to innovate, and to support the critical needs of its warfighters at speed and at scale is the foundation upon which its deterrence and survival rests. However, upon taking office on January 20th, 2025, President Trump inherited a defense industrial base that had been hollowed out by years of America Last policies, resulting in a diminished capacity to project strength. Under the previous administration, we were offshoring, outsourcing, beset by cost overruns and degraded capabilities. But under the leadership of President Trump, our builder-in-chief, we are reversing this systemic decay and putting our defense industrial base back on a wartime footing. Urgency informs everything we do. We're rebuilding a military that the American people can be proud of, one that instills nothing less than unrelenting fear in our adversaries and inspires historic morale and recruiting in its ranks. We fight to win in every scenario. The $1.5 trillion budget put forward by the president will build upon a previous $1 trillion FY26 top line and will continue to reverse the 4 years of underinvestment and mismanagement of the Biden administration. The $1.5 trillion budget will ensure that the United States continues to maintain the world's most powerful and capable military as we grapple with a complex threat environment across multiple theaters. Not to mention, the budget also includes a historic troop pay increase, 7% for junior enlisted, and the budget eliminates all poor or failing barracks. Quality of life for our troops is front and center in this budget. By supercharging our defense industrial capacity and transforming how the department does business, we are restoring American commercial dominance at a pace unseen in generations, transforming the defense industrial base from the broken, slow-moving systems of the past. We have flipped the Pentagon acquisition process from a bureaucratic model to a business model, decisively moving from an acquisitions environment paralyzed by bureaucratic red tape into an outcomes-driven organization focused on delivering the most for taxpayer dollars. Over the past year, through historic multi-year procurement agreements that this committee supported, we've cut smart business deals that have sent unambiguous demand signals to industry to build more and build faster. The result has been a surge, a revitalization of our great American factories and a massive reinvestment in the skilled American workers who serve as the industrial muscle behind our warriors.
You're a war criminal. You should be arrested. What you're doing is despicable. The American people do not want to go to this war. We don't want to fight a war for Israel.
One thought that every parent carries but does not speak is अगर मुझे कुछ हो गया तो मेरे बच्चे का क्या होगा? Imagine the security, the stability, the disruption in the routine. There's so much that the child goes through. At every stage, the child will feel that the parent is missing in his life.
Do customers reach out to experts like you with those fears as well?
It's very difficult to say it, but practically, if we think about it, that's the truth of life. Hi, I'm Ishina. I'm here at Planet Hollywood to shoot Life Unscripted by ICICI Prudential Life.
Hi, welcome to the second episode of a very, very special discussion that we are having with Dr. Ishina on Life Unscripted. You know, when it comes to financial decisions और जितने भी हमारे conversations होते हैं clients के साथ, we realize that the biggest drivers of उनके जितने भी decisions हैं is on one hand there is greed कि I want to grow more, I want more, etc. And then you have fear कि what if I lose? And specifically from an insurance point of view, right? Our products are designed more to address the fear part of it. कल अगर आप नहीं रहोगे तो भी आपका फ्यूचर will be taken care of. So between the greed and fear का balance, insurance is actually addressing the core fears of customers, right? So what I wanted to pick your brains on is when it comes to the zone of parenting and bringing up children, does this fear and anxiety of what if I'm not around, does it feature explicitly? Do customers reach out to experts like you with those fears as well?
When parents come to me, these things are not really talked about. And ये बोलने में भी डर लगता है.
True. It's almost like a bad luck sign, right? You don't want to talk about
You don't
these
want to
things.
say it. So it's an unsaid anxiety का part, unsaid. We all feel it. It can happen anytime. We have to plan accordingly. लेकिन हम बोल नहीं रहे तो वो planning कैसे करें पर वो अंदर है. तो I can say कि वो है fear पर बात नहीं कर रहा कोई इस बारे में.
Okay. And how do you decode? कि मतलब, of course, you would have had thousands of these conversations. So you already know that ये आइसबर्ग वाला है ना, दिख कुछ रहा है, डेप्थ में कुछ और है. So what are the things which tells you that actually at the core this must be the fear?
जब सब कुछ ठीक है ना, तब इस बारे में कोई बात नहीं कर रहा. पर मेरे पास ऐसे पेरेंट्स भी आते हैं जिनका एक पार्टनर हैज़ पास्ड अवे, है ना. मदर्स आती हैं, they've lost the father, the child is only 5 years, 8 years, and they talk and there's so much emotion. One of the most difficult sessions that I take are when these cases come to me. And what I have seen is the parent is so emotionally affected. Of course, they've lost the partner, that they are not able to be emotionally present for the child. So the child for that time lost both parents. They are not getting that emotional
One
support.
visibly, the other one invisibly.
Yes, yes. It depends on the age also. The child loses, how it affects the child, but it affects the child tremendously, no matter what age. Even if a child as old as 4-5 years, they might regress in potty training. Their sleep gets disrupted. Older children will keep asking कि कब आएंगे, आ क्यों नहीं रहे हैं. तो and when you're giving them explanation, तो वापस कब आएंगे. They keep understanding what is the concept of death. But as children get older, they understand the concept, what is happening, but it's so overwhelming. So emotionally, the toll is there. But it's not only emotional, practical aspect also. So the
Life
finances,
changes, right?
it's completely changes. It's one of the most devastating thing a child or a family can go through. But when you talk about this guarantee तो है नहीं, life की भी नहीं है. लेकिन इस situation में, if we have a guarantee of a financial backup or stability, तो of course एक side से तो आप सोचो एक घर में किसी की death हो गई है और सब लोग कितने सैड हैं, और उसके अलावा एक प्रैक्टिकल साइड पे डिस्कशन चल रही है. अब बच्चे का क्या करना है, अब बच्चे की एजुकेशन का क्या करना है, अब इसके आगे का फ्यूचर का कैसे सेट करना है, कौन सपोर्ट करेगा, कौन क्या करेगा, स्पेशली इफ दे लूज द
Further interruptions of our hearing will be treated in like manner. We appreciate the First Amendment rights of Americans to express themselves, but disruption of this hearing will not be tolerated. So, Mr. Secretary, you may continue.
I'll briefly provide some concrete high-level metrics of what we've accomplished over just the past few months. These are announced new facilities and investments to support American warfighters. The department has helped stimulate more than 250 private investment deals in 39 states, 180 cities, in 150 companies, worth more than $50 billion. It's resulted in 280 new or expanded facilities, more than 18 million new square feet of American manufacturing, and more than 70,000 new jobs. These $50 billion in investments in new plants, new assembly lines, and new factories are private investments, not taxpayer dollars. By completely transforming our department's business model, American companies are investing in America with their own dollars, a historic demonstration of American manufacturing and defense revitalization, all with their money, not Uncle Sam's. This has never been done before and is long overdue, from a bureaucratic model to a business model. These investments equal great things for America, for American families, and American workers, to ensure that our warfighters have everything they need, all American made. Together with the help of the policy updates and appropriations passed by Congress, President Trump's War Department has begun to turn the lights back on in our manufacturing towns across this country, forging a lethal arsenal of freedom. Every policy we pursue, every budgetary item we request serves to ensure that this department remains laser-focused on increasing lethality and survivability from the front lines to the factory floor. This is a historic budget, as you said, Mr. Chairman. This is a fiscally responsible budget, and this is a warfighting budget. Speaking of warfighting, the topic of Iran, I'm sure, will come up often today, which I welcome. I look forward to sharing the incredible success of our military effort achieved in a matter of weeks. President Trump has the courage, has had, unlike other presidents, to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon and that their nuclear blackmail never succeeds. We have the best negotiator in the world driving a great deal. Unfortunately, as I said yesterday, and I'll say it again today, the biggest adversary we face at this point are the reckless, naysayers, and defeatist words of congressional Democrats and some Republicans. Defeatists from the cheap seats who 2 months in seek to undermine the incredible efforts that have been undertaken and the historic nature of taking on a 47-year threat with the courage no other president has had, to great success and great opportunity for preventing Iran from having a nuclear weapon.
I can teach you code in Python in just 30 days, even if you've never written a single line of code before. How? Simple. In my 30-day Python using AI bootcamp, you don't learn to code the hard way anymore. You learn to think like a developer and let AI do the heavy lifting. I'll show you how to use AI tools that senior developers are already using every single day. Tools that write code for you, explain errors in plain English, and turn your ideas into working projects fast. Day 1, you're building your first script. Day 15, you're automating real tasks. Day 30, you have a portfolio that actually gets you hired. No CS degree, no coaching institute, no 6-month course. My students, people who were in your exact position, are now working as Python developers, data analysts, and AI automation specialists, pulling 18 to 25 lakhs per annum, not because they memorize syntax, but because they know how to build with AI. This is the skill companies are desperate to hire for right now, and it's only getting more valuable. So click the link below, join the 30-day Python using AI bootcamp for just 199 rupees. Seats are limited, register now before it fills up.
We are in Loikava. There are lots of mountains, very, very beautiful.
Do I really have to say anything about the place? I mean, it's so unreal and very majestic and beautiful.
In the Loikava was very relaxed.
Guys, welcome. Welcome to Loikava, guys. How's it going?
I'm on the stair.
Yeah? Did you guys know that it's a tradition who dates all the way back to the Romans? They had come here for relaxing, connecting each other.
Despite this, under President Trump, we are restoring the unbreakable might of American manufacturing. We're providing for our warfighters, and we are putting the people and interests of this country first. May Almighty God continue to watch over our troops wherever they are, and may we honor the legacy of those brave Americans that we have lost. This is our sacred mission, and this is what we will continue to execute on. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for that statement, Mr. Secretary. General Kane, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Wicker, Ranking Member Reed, members of the committee, and your staff, who we never get to say thanks to. Thanks for having me today. I'm honored to be here alongside the Honorable Pete Hegseth and the Honorable Jay Hurst to testify on the President's fiscal 2027 budget. I'm grateful for the opportunity to testify today, and I'm thankful for your continued partnership and support of our warfighters defending the homeland and our interests around the world. It's a privilege to speak with you today about the foundation of America's strength, the 2.8 million members of our joint force. And I am continually inspired by the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, Coast Guardsmen, and civilians standing the watch for the nation, supported always by their families. They could have chosen a much easier path, any other path, but they volunteered for a life of purpose and passion and service. And every single day they rise to meet the nation's challenges, from combat operations to critical support roles, with the courage, tenacity, and grit that keeps our nation strong and secure. I would also like to express my deep gratitude for the 39 members of the Joint Force who've passed in operations, combat, and training during my time as the chairman, and specifically highlight the 14 who've passed in Operation Epic Fury. The Secretary and I are deeply grateful for each of them and their families, and their names will never be forgotten. As the chairman, my duty is to ensure our civilian leadership has a comprehensive range of military options and the associated risks required to make the nation's hardest and most complex decisions. I owe the President, the Secretary, and the Congress the truth at every turn. And my blueprint for this role has always been that of General George C. Marshall. His firm commitment to civilian control and a nonpartisan military remains my constant standard. And I strive to emulate his candor, delivering the facts leaders need to hear, not always what they want to hear. And once a decision is made, executing it with the absolute dedication while keeping the joint force precisely where it should be. That's the demand of our profession. As I sit before you today representing our incredible joint force, I want to emphasize my commitment to this committee and to the Congress. I will always follow General Marshall's steadfast example by providing clear and candid nonpartisan military advice, working together to ensure the military remains squarely focused on one thing, being prepared to deter and, if called upon, fight and win our nation's war. And that is our mission. America's joint force is operational at its core, purpose-built for the realities in a complex world. We're organized, trained, and equipped to execute the most demanding missions across the globe with unrivaled precision. And over the past year, our warfighters have consistently demonstrated exactly what it means to be the most capable and most professional force on earth. Our shared goal is to ensure the joint force sustains the strategic initiative and advantage and ability to project power to respond to the global challenges on our nation's terms. During Operation Rough Rider, Midnight Hammer, Southern Spear, Absolute Resolve, and Epic Fury, the joint force executed globally integrated missions alongside our interagency and international partners. And once our leaders made a decision, our forces demonstrated the unmatched ability to seamlessly synchronize actions and activities from the seabed to cislunar space. We're able to accomplish these complex things that we are asked to do because we draw from a deep reservoir of training, professionalism, and commitment. Our operational tempo is high, but we're designed to sustain it, rebuilding readiness every day, training professionals every day, and sharpening our edge every day. And I am incredibly proud of this joint force team and the leaders at every echelon who command it. As the chairman said, we are living in a complex environment. Today, I look forward to discussing how we can sustain America's military advantage. And I know this committee recognizes the challenges and the urgency in the environment that we face. We're operating in delicate and dangerous times where risk is scaling, and the complexity of the modern battlefield demands America's constant adaptation, innovation, and partnership with Congress. As a joint force, we're up to the challenge. We're built for this environment. However, our continued success is not guaranteed by our past achievements. We must continue to be forward-looking and innovate together with the Congress. To drive the pace of change and maintain our superiority requires timely, predictable, and sustained investment. And the resources we're going to discuss today are critical to modernizing the joint force and ensuring whatever threats might emerge, we are prepared to defeat them, to protect our interests and defend the nation and win. This President's budget for 2027 supports the Secretary and the Department's goal of reinvigorating, recharging the defense industrial base and the national industrial base, enhancing our readiness and securing our military advantage to ensure that our warfighters are properly armed, globally integrated, and ready while always taking care of our people. And that is what truly sets America's joint force apart from each other, especially the 1.8 million members, enlisted members of our joint force. It is them, the character, the competence of that force that transforms our capabilities into a decisive advantage. And our enlisted force is represented today by the senior enlisted advisor to the chairman, United States Navy Fleet Master Chief Dave Isom, sitting behind me, a teammate who I greatly appreciate and many of you on this committee know from his time in the Indo-Pacific. While we face dynamic and dangerous times, I have absolute trust and confidence in the extraordinary men and women within our joint force who every day execute the missions we ask them to quietly and with precision. And coupled with the American spirit to outthink, outcompete, and relentlessly innovate, we will maintain our decisive edge, but doing so requires your continued partnership. We stand ready today to answer the nation's call. I humbly ask that as we're here today in this hearing, we remember those deployed service members who are out there right now doing our nation's work. And may we always remember our fallen and never forget them or their families who continue to show us what courage looks like. Thank you for your enduring support, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much, General. We appreciate your service. Let's jump right in. Secretary Hegseth, let's talk about the money from Reconciliation 1.0 last year. There have been some complaints about the speed, but not everything we hear is actually accurate. How much of the $154 billion from Reconciliation has the Pentagon put on contract?
Too many meetings. Too much to remember. Neo One captures what matters. Commitments, decisions, follow-ups. Ask Neo later. It remembers for you. Forget nothing. Wearable AI assistant.
सर एक आम आदमी ए और चैट जीपीटी से क्यों भागे जा रहा है? क्यों उसको आसान शब्द में कोई सिखा नहीं पा रहा है?
देखिए एआई और चैट जीपीटी से लोगों के दिमाग में ना एक डर पैदा हो गया है कि भाई ये हमारी नौकरी खा रहा है.
My understanding, Mr. Chairman, first I'd like to say what an important vehicle reconciliation was for us and how it gave us a chance coming out of FY25 to advance the president's priorities, whether it's drone dominance, Golden Dome for America, shipbuilding, the defense industrial base. It was a critical vehicle for us. The number you're looking for is about what I'm looking at, about $26 billion right now. But we've got the floodgates about to open and apply to those priorities.
Okay, so unfortunately, you're starting a bit late through no fault of your own because the money was not sent timely by the Office of Management and Budget to the department until last month. That's over and done with, but it should be mentioned. Mr. Secretary, where are we on the obligation rates as far as a normal appropriation bill? Are we a little behind, a little ahead, or what?
I would say probably a little bit behind as it pertains to reconciliation, but part of that is, as you know, this is a new funding vehicle for the department. And twofold. One, you got to make sure you do it right and do it in a fiscally responsible way in conjunction with the Congress to ensure that we meet congressional intent. But also that we've been using it to energize our ability to exercise new pathways, to get at problems in different and more dynamic ways that don't get stovepiped or stuck in the bureaucracy. So yes, there's been some delays, but ultimately I think it's all goodness on the other side, given the new nature of this funding vehicle.
Right. Yes. Well, and things have been done differently, and we appreciate that. But Mr. Secretary, will you commit to us that you'll keep the committee informed frequently of your efforts to get all this money out the door, so our industrial base can start building as you have described in this new flexibility that we provided them?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned a few things in reconciliation that you think have been game changers. I don't think we've talked enough about some of the game changers. For years, we failed to take action on rebuilding America's drone industrial base and critical mineral supply chains. After last reconciliation bill and the National Defense Authorization Act, we're in a very different position on drones and critical mineral supply chains, are we not?
Very much so. Mineral supply chains, drones, we went from JIATA 401 to an autonomous warfare group. We're looking at the concept of a sub-unified command, and you're looking at $54 billion in the FY27 budget dedicated to drone dominance, UAS, counter-UAS, ensuring we can scale not just exquisite drones, but also the attritable ones that are proliferating on the battlefield today. We need to be ahead.
Are there any other initiatives from last year's bill that you want to point out? And you only have a minute and a half.
The investment in Golden Dome for America,
Right.
the ability to get running on that, and we are on schedule to deliver capabilities inside this administration. Minerals and shoring up supply chains on minerals. The Office of Strategic Capital, which its ability to loan gives 10x to new entrants into the department, the opportunity to fund things that wouldn't normally meet the threshold for the department, but give them the running room to invest in those capabilities, and we've already seen fruit from that as well.
And briefly, General Kane, there's no question that Vladimir Putin's Russia is taking serious action to undermine our efforts for success in Iran. Is there any question about that?
Senator, I think there's actions and activities that are mindful of the hearing room we're in, but there's definitely some action there.
Thank you very much. Senator Reid, you're recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, you recently fired the Army Chief of Staff, General Randy George, who's one of the most distinguished and decorated officers of this generation. General George's nomination came before us. We reviewed it thoroughly, and we concurred. Why did you fire General George?
Well, as I did then, and I'll say now, we thank General George for his service. And out of respect to him and other officers, we never talk about the nature of why certain officers are asked to step down. But we all serve at the pleasure of the president. And ultimately, my view in coming into this department, as I stated in my confirmation hearing, was to change the culture of the department. And it's ultimately challenging to change the department, the culture of a department with the same people who are a part of or in that department. So I have made many changes with general officers. We will continue to make changes as necessary with general officers, and they will be in keeping with the trajectory of where we would like to take the department. But it doesn't take away from the service of those. And I think you will note that every officer that's been asked to leave has been treated with respect.
Interesting. Of the 24 officers that you have fired for reasons unrelated to performance, since you have not indicated any cause, 60% are black or females. Now, did the president direct you to single out female and black officers to be dismissed?
Senator, of course not. And as we've emphasized at this department from the beginning, the only metric is merit. Members on this committee and the previous leadership of this department were focused on social engineering, race and gender in ways that we think were unhealthy for the department, focusing on those things, making decisions based on those things. Okay. In President Trump's War Department, we make decisions based on only one thing, merit. And that's how we've made decisions going forward. That's how we've made them, and that's how we'll make them going forward.
Well, let me go back to General George. What did he fail in terms of his lack of merit to continue serving?
और भाई कहाँ गए थे घूमने? GK Max. वैसे रोहन पढ़ाई में कैसा है? GK Max. Best पुट्टी? JK Wall Max. Best paint? JK Max.
बाकी सब सवालों का पता नहीं, लेकिन मोस्ट ब्यूटीफुल वॉल्स के लिए सिर्फ JK Max पेंट्स. JK Max पेंट्स. खुशियों के रंग.
As I said, I don't talk about the nature of dismissal out of respect for these officers. But ultimately, we want to take the department in a particular direction, certain services in a particular direction, and we want leadership that's running as fast in that direction as possible. And in some cases, we make changes accordingly, but do so out of respect to those officers.
Well, I think that direction from your behavior is an intense interest in Christianity, in nationalism, and in not recognizing the talents of women and non-white gentlemen, and that's the wrong direction.
I don't know what you're insinuating, Senator, but I am not ashamed of my faith in Jesus Christ.
Well, you shouldn't be ashamed.
And if you want to shame me for it, go ahead.
I'm not shaming you, but are you critical of other faiths?
I am a believer. I'm quite open in that, and our department allows for a multitude of faiths. So I don't know what you're suggesting. I've heard the likes of things that people like you suggest to try to smear my character, and I won't give into it.
No. I'm sorry, Mr. Secretary, but broadcasting before the national religious broadcasters stressing the need for more Christianity in the military forces doesn't seem like a neutral position in which you tolerate and accept all religions. Let me move on. The strategic aspects of this operation in Iran. The president declared that we're going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. And after more than 13,000 strikes, unclassified assessments conclude that Iran retains more than 40% of its drone arsenal and 60% of its ballistic missile launches compared with pre-war levels. That's one of his objectives. The second objective was regime change. To the great proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand, and we will take over your government. Well, when we finish, we'll take over government. That has not succeeded. And then one of his other things is at the onset of the war, the president said, we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. Military operations in Iran have not achieved that goal yet. And it also seems to indicate that his pronouncements about Operation Midnight Hammer obliterating the nuclear policy and structure of the Iranians was false. So you have not achieved any of the objectives yet that has the president mentioned.
Well, in this setting, I won't talk about the nature of metrics, which are classified, as you know, Senator. But I can say that looking at the objectives we set out to achieve from the beginning, some of which you laid out, our military objectives have been stunningly effective. Take, for example, their defense industrial base. They're completely incapable at scale at any level of reconstituting the capabilities you referred to, which is a devastating result for any country, especially one whose ambitions are as wide as Iran's. So we've put the president in a very strong position to ensure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. That's the takeaway that's been underneath every single aspect of this. For 47 years, Iran's trying to blackmail its way to a nuclear weapon. They were closer than ever before because of bad deals under previous administration. President Trump was willing to do something about it and not allow their conventional missile shield. That's the North Korea strategy. That's, to be clear, what Iran was pursuing. Hiding their nuclear ambitions, revealing them over time, and then building a conventional shield of missiles so powerful that no country would challenge them for fear of what would happen if they unleashed that arsenal. Weakened after the 12-day war and Midnight Hammer, which did obliterate their sites, President Trump saw an opportunity because their ambitions continued to ensure that umbrella of nuclear blackmail did not allow them to get to a nuclear weapon. And the world is safer because of his bold and historic choice.
Mr. Secretary, I think that's rhetorical but not factual. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Reid. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Hurst, General Kane, welcome. Over the last several months, I've worked closely with some of the new direct reporting program managers, and I've been encouraged by how they're approaching the department's most complex acquisition systems. General White's pulled forward the next milestone for the Sentinel program by at least 6 months. General Gutlein has completed the initial blueprint for the Golden Dome architecture and is beginning to build it out. For years, this committee has known that we must improve our ability to defend our homeland against a wider variety of threats. And we finally have a partner with the full backing of the department to lead the charge. Mr. Secretary, what's the advantage of this new type of program management structure?
Well, thank you for the question, Senator. It's acquisition authority, technical authority, contracting authority. It's consolidating decision-making in one place under a highly screened, highly capable General White and General Gutlein, who know that terrain extremely well and understand what mistakes have been made in the past in programs of that magnitude, and then are given the authority to cut through the red tape. That's the key. successor failure lands with them, and they know it. And as a result, they're incentivized to ensure that program, and then given every dollar and authority needed to move it as quickly as possible. So whether it's Sentinel, whether it's F-47, whether it's Golden Dome for America, these critical strategic assets, the direct report construct, along with Deputy Secretary Feinberg, who is a national treasure and is changing the way we do business at this department, is giving us a chance to ensure these critical systems are delivered.
Thank you. And General Kane, can you give us your thoughts on why the Golden Dome received why they must receive that requested $17 billion in funding for the fiscal year 27?
Honey, I have to bring work home this weekend again.
You're staying late again?
Yeah, I have to finish 3 reports by Monday.
You're still working weekends and you think that's normal?
You staying late again? Yeah, I have to finish 3 reports by Monday. Sarah just left. She already finished hers. All 3? That's impossible. Wait.
Well, Senator, it's as you know, it's an essential part of our Homeland Security layered defense, and as General Gutlein begins to do the work that you're asking about, and frankly helping to advance, the insurance around that down payment, charging the defense industrial base with those capital allocations will allow them to get after it much quicker. We appreciate the help.
And if there's a delay in that funding?
Well, I hopefully there won't be, Senator, because we've got a leader on that account 24/7, 365. But if we do, we'll always, of course, come back and talk to the Congress, but also figure out what has to be true to help that constraint get removed in that production system. And that's really what we're asking these leaders to do, is to be able to get past the theory of constraints.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Hegseth, I agree with your statement on nuclear deterrence when you said nothing else matters if we don't get this right, so we will. We need a modernized nuclear triad and NC3 architecture that can credibly deter multiple adversaries instead of an insufficient nuclear force structure based on fundamentally flawed assumptions made 16 years ago. Our presidents must also have a more diverse set of options so that they can effectively manage more complex nuclear escalation dynamics. So, Mr. Secretary, how does this budget request achieve those objectives?
Well, thank you for your leadership on this issue for a very long time. First and foremost, it invests in it. $71 billion in our nuclear triad and NC3, understanding that if you get that wrong, you get everything else wrong. Frankly, it's why the Iran effort is so important. Imagine what the situation in the region would look like if Iran also wielded a nuclear weapon, and the limits it would put on our capabilities in those situations. Our adversaries have to deal with that dilemma because of the strength of our nuclear triad. So that $71 billion investment, the DERPMs that have been put over top of it to move those systems left, as you acknowledged, it's just been a priority since we came into the building, and we're funding it accordingly.
And Chairman Kane, Secretary Hegseth, whoever would like to answer this, should our nuclear command control and communication systems like the SAOC be given the same level of priority as Congress considers the department's budget request as our triad?
I think so, but I defer to the chairman.
Yes, ma'am. We got to be able to see to anything. So, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Senator Shaheen, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Secretary Hegseth, Congress enacted $400 million to provide security assistance to Ukraine in January. Now, the committee received a notification just yesterday confirming only that the funding would go toward Ukraine. It contained no details about the type of equipment, no delivery timelines, nothing that is typically included in these notifications. And when asked about the delay in funding, the committee was told that Bridge Colby was developing a spend plan, but we've received nothing. So when can we expect the full spend plan for this appropriation? And Madam Chair, can I, if this is not already part of the record for the committee, can I enter it into the record?
Without objection. We acknowledge and are executing on the European capacity building amount of $400 million that you referred to. Undersecretary Colby's done a great job looking at options and worked very closely with our European commander, General Grinkowitz. So his requests of what makes the most sense will inform what ultimately is invested in.
Well, this notification says that EUCOM coordinated on the spend plan in March, but General Grinkowitz told this committee on April 16th that he had not yet been asked to review any spend plan for this appropriation. So, General Kane, have you received the spend plan for funds in Ukraine, and have you asked the EUCOM commander for his concurrence?
I do not believe so, but I will find out, Senator, and get back to you by the end of the day.
Thank you. And yesterday, Mr. Hurst, you told the House that you needed to seek legal review to appropriate the funds as Congress intended. So can you share with us what the nature of that legal review is? And seems to me the law was pretty clear. I saw it. It was part of the defense appropriations bill that we passed in January. And as you know, violating congressional intent on appropriating funds is a violation of the Impoundment Control Act. So what's the nature of the legal review that you have to get?
Thanks for the question, Senator. What we were looking at is if we could use the funds in the same manner as USAI, and we had our counsel look at that. And so they provided us a legal opinion on how the funds could be used to support European capacity building.
And can you share with this committee what that legal opinion is?
Ma'am, I don't have a copy of that, but we can ask the OGC office if they can supply it to you.
Madam Chair, can we ask that that legal opinion is shared with the committee officially? Thank you. Also, I don't know who can answer this, but it says that consistent with the President's priority to shift the financial burden of Ukraine support to European partners, the United States will seek commensurate financial contributions via the Prioritized Ukraine Requirements List, or PEARL, from the European partners for this program. So what's the justification for using PEARL when there's $400 million in appropriated funds? Can somebody answer?
PEARL is a reflection of the President's priority and the belief that any weapons that are supplied are paid for by European partners and used as they see fit, whether it's Ukraine or somewhere else.
But that was not the intent of Congress in providing that $400 million. As I understand the PEARL program, the Europeans purchase those weapons from the United States and they pay for them. But this appropriation was $400 million that Congress expected to be provided to Ukraine, not paid for by the Europeans, but provided from the United States to support Ukraine. So again, I don't understand what the justification is for using PEARL when that's not the intent that Congress provided.
Ever walked out of a meeting and forgot what you promised? One forgotten follow-up can cost trust or the deal. Neo One, wearable AI assistant. Never forget again.
मुझे बस 1.5 मिनट दीजिए और मैं बताता हूँ कि आप अपनी ड्रीम लाइफ को क्यों अचीव नहीं कर पाएंगे। दोस्तों, जब हम बार-बार नेगेटिविटीज को एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं, यानी कि स्ट्रेस,
we're following the intent of European capacity building, but at the same time recognizing that wherever PEARL can be utilized so that the Europeans contribute to that fight, per the burden sharing approach that this president takes is important.
Congressional intent. And that's what I'm asking you, why you're using PEARL to do something that Congress intended to go directly to Ukraine.
Well, we look forward to working with you on that.
What was the legal opinion on this? Did you ask the attorneys if the $400 million could be used for the PEARL program?
Let's get back to you. We'll take it for the record, ma'am.
Thank you. And what portion of the funding that's committed from the Europeans under PEARL is being used to assist Ukraine rather than restocking our own shelves? Can you answer us that?
That's up to Europe. Ultimately, Europe pays for at any weapons that we provide, and they can utilize them as they see fit, whether it's Ukraine or otherwise.
Thank you, Senator Shaheen. There have been a number of times when our witnesses have stated, both in the closed hearing and up here, that they will get back to us. And we certainly hope that will happen very expeditiously. So thank you very much, and thank you, Senator Shaheen. Senator Cotton.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your appearance today. Mr. Secretary, you provided us with a chart here entitled The Arsenal of Freedom, which includes a lot of sites that you visited. My favorite one is down here in South Arkansas, Camden, where you and I had a chance to visit just a couple months ago, highlighting the great work that the people there are doing to help rebuild our arsenal of freedom. Thank you, first off, for being there and for your kind words for the workforce of the people of South Arkansas. Isn't it fair to say that the war in Iran, just like the Ukraine war before it and still today, hasn't caused any challenges with our munitions the way some of our Democratic colleagues would say, but it's exposed a decades-old problem of brittleness and fragility in our defense industrial base before you and General Kane took over, and that we're trying to address right now?
In many ways, that's precisely what we're trying to address. We also have a situation where President Trump rebuilt our military in the first term, and a lot of those munitions and a lot of those capabilities were sent to Ukraine under the previous administration, to the point where when we ask our commanders or when we look at O plans, the answer often is that was sent to Ukraine. So the recognition of those two things has, as the president gave us a charge from day one, to rebuild the arsenal of freedom, to fast forward, not to provide a little bit more of each thing, but 2x, 3x, 4x the number of exquisite munitions that we need. The expenditures that we've seen under this administration, we can account for them, and we ensure that other O plans and elsewhere are well taken care of. So on the munitions front, we're in really good shape, but we need to accelerate, and that's exactly what we're doing.
And I think that's an important point you make, is that we're not just trying to fill a hole that was created by epic fury or by support for Ukraine. We're going to fill that and then go much beyond that for our needs in the future. So we're never caught where we were over the last several years with these worries about munitions running short. Is that right, Mr. Secretary?
That's exactly right. The president has charged up with not just replacing anything, but filling it up, as he might say, to the tippy top, and make sure that the remainder of this term and future presidents have all the munitions they need for any level of contingencies, especially considering the dangerous world we live in.
I want to turn now to Operation Epic Fury. It's been a smashing military success. Unfortunately, we have suffered casualties, to include soldiers killed in the line of action. Obviously, our military takes the greatest steps possible to protect our troops, whether they are in action or whether they are on bases in the region. No war, though, is antiseptic. Mr. Secretary, could you explain some of the steps we've taken to try to minimize, to the greatest extent we can, the number of casualties we've taken in the Middle East?
First of all, every day we live to ensure that we follow through on the legacy of those who gave everything. So that's front and center for us. But I can also say, and the chairman may want to weigh in, from the beginning of looking at the possibility of this contingency, setting the defense and ensuring that Admiral Cooper and everyone throughout CENTCOM had every possible measure they could to ensure that our troops are protected and force protection was maximized was the top priority. Moving assets to the region, we integrated our air defenses with local Gulf countries to ensure our shot doctrine was maximized, whether it's ballistic missiles or on drones, flowing in the most recent capabilities to ensure we can intercept drones, moving troops off the X. I think what people mostly don't know is that a massive effort was undertaken before this conflict to move as many humans off of targets to other places and maintain operational security about where they might be to minimize the space with which Iran could hit. We always knew something getting through was a tragic possibility. But I can assure you, from our perspective, that was priority number one, as it was Admiral Cooper's, to ensure that fortification and missile defenses were right there when we went on offense if we had to.
General Kane, do you have anything to add?
Well, in addition to just, again, mourning our fallen from the 103rd, what I'll add to the Secretary's comments is after every tragic loss, commanders at every echelon within our joint force are going to go back and look at what was our plan and what lessons we can learn from this so that we protect and defend our soldiers, sailors, and other members of the joint force the next time.
Thank you. And I know you do, and I just wanted to give you the opportunity to speak to what you've done to try to prevent casualties and minimize them. Obviously, again, no war is antiseptic. One final question. I understand you've been accused of lying to the president. Mr. Hegseth, have you lied to the president at all about what's happening in Iran or Epic Fury?
No, only tell the truth to the president.
General Kane, have you lied to the president about what's happening in Iran or Operation Epic Fury?
Never.
I suspected that would be your answer, but since you were accused of it and deep staters are leaking to the media about it as well, I just wanted to give you a chance to answer on the record that, of course, you've always given the president a completely accurate picture of what's happening. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Senator Cotton. Senator Gillibrand and then Senator Rounds.
Thank you, gentlemen, for appearing before this committee, and thank you for the closed session prior to this. I don't know if you fully appreciate how much the American people do not support this war. It is an unauthorized war. Normally, when you come to Congress, it's a way for the American people to be part of that discussion.
दोस्तों, क्या आपके साथ भी ऐसा हुआ है कि कई सालों से कड़ी मेहनत आपने की लेकिन आपके पीछे से आया हुआ बंदा आपसे आगे निकल गया, या आपके बॉस ने किसी रिश्तेदार को बुलाया और आपका सीनियर बना दिया? मतलब आप तो कंपनी में मेहनत करते रह गए लेकिन आपसे पीछे आए हुए लोग ग्रोथ लेकर चले गए। अब ऐसा कॉर्पोरेट में बहुत सारा हो रहा है। रीजन यही है, आप दूसरों की गलतियां देना बंद करो, खुद को अपडेट करो। मैं आपको एक ऐसी स्किल सीखने के बारे में बोल रहा हूं जिसकी वजह से आपका बॉस आपको कभी इग्नोर नहीं करेगा।
The American people, particularly in my state of New York, are upset for a lot of reasons. First of all, this war is costing so much money. Over $25 billion already, estimates $1 billion a day, and they're feeling it every single day at the gas pump with higher prices for both fuel, for diesel, for gasoline for their cars. They're also feeling it with higher grocery costs, and they're exhausted. They are truly exhausted. On top of that, they have so many grave concerns about how this war is being prosecuted. They read in the paper that 22 schools have been hit. They read in the paper about a girls' school, hundreds getting killed. We have a debate going on in this country about AI, a serious debate about AI. And I haven't heard yet from you that you will not allow AI to make final targeting determinations, even when nuclear weapons are being used. That's a huge issue that we need to discuss. So I want to start from the top, Secretary Hegseth. Why do you continue to prosecute a war that the American people aren't behind?
First of all, I appreciate the opportunity for that closed session where we had a, unsurprisingly, very different discussion than we have here with the cameras on. We support this
because my job is to represent New Yorkers, and I can tell you, when I talk to them all across my state, they are furious, and they expect me to explain to them why they are furious.
And Senator, when I talk to Americans, and especially when I talk to the troops, they are grateful for a president who has the courage to take on this threat after 47 years of what Iran has done, targeting and killing Americans, and what it would mean to the world if Iran's nuclear ambitions were actually achieved. So the question I would ask to you and to others is, what is the cost of a nuclear-armed Iran? What is the cost to the American people if the world's most dangerous regime has a nuclear weapon?
But the truth is, they don't want war coming to this shore, and when you do a decapitation operation, the likelihood is going to be exchanged in the United States. There's no evidence that we are safer because of this war. We did not have any evidence that Iran intended to imminently attack this country in any way, shape, or form. So I disagree with your assessment that we are under threat.
Do you not believe them when they say death to America?
Listen, our adversaries use rhetoric all the time. What I'm concerned about is we are not safer, and I would just like to know why you have not sought the support of the American people, and 3 out of 5 Americans are against this war today.
I believe we do have the support of the American people, and we have briefed regularly what this mission looks like and why it's critically important that we undertake it. And I would remind you and this group that we're 2 months in to an effort. And many congressional Democrats, as I pointed out, want to declare defeat 2 months in. Iraq took how many years? Afghanistan took how many years? And they were nebulous missions that people went along with. This is different. This is a defined